Dalvin Cook could be signing with the Dallas Cowboys. That's now officially out there that Dalvin Cook could be signing with the Dallas Cowboys. So great catching up with Merrill Reese. We appreciate it very much. Thank you guys so much for coming aboard. I think Merrill is right about Howie and how he goes about his business. I think there is a structure in how he looks at the draft. I do. But I do think he's what Tone says. I don't think he's very predictable. Okay? I don't think he's predictable in what he'll do. The move last year was brilliant. Okay? Quan, so get this. Cowboys add Brandon Cooks. And if they add Dalvin Cook, Stephon Gilmore, I don't know. I think you're closing the gap on the Eagles. The quarterback beats you all the time. The quarterback beats you. I think it's a great move. And he would be cheaper. Here, let's I don't know what he did a year ago. I think he's younger also. I think he's younger. Dalvin Cook stats. If I'm not mistaken, he's been in the league 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's about 26 years old. I would say he's about 26 or maybe 27 years old. He might be in the league one more year. He's 27. I think Henry's 28. He had 1,173 yards last year, 1,159 the year before, 1,557 the year before with 16 touchdowns. And he's done it in 260 carries. Wow. That's about 4.5 yards a carry. His career is 4.7. He's an elite back. He's an elite back, and he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 consecutive years of 1,000 yards. That helps the Cowboys immensely. That helps the Cowboys immensely getting Dalvin Cook if they're able to sign him. Dallas is doing a lot of great moves. A lot of great moves. All right. I'm going to do the 10 best players in the draft. As we're getting out now 2 weeks from today to the NFL draft, okay? We're 2 weeks away. And I got the 10 best players. Norman Wildman Wiley, ex-Eagle DL, was my driver's ed teacher in high school. Late in the 50s, I believe. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. All right. I want to ask this question before we get to the 10 best players. How many people think Lamar Jackson is a $50 million a year player? How many people think he's a $50 million a year player? Fly goes, I do. Sure. Lamar's talent is $50 million, but he gets hurt. Okay, well, here's my case. CJ goes, I do. So if the NFL doesn't believe that Lamar Jackson's a $50 million a year player, how in the world do you think Jalen Hurts is a $50 million a year player? Where do you get that from? Lamar's a better player. Is he more aggressive? Yes. Phil Simms said it the other day. By the way, I think it's pretty cool. Chris Mortensen now follows me on Twitter, and he's liked a lot of the stuff from us here. Hey, Tone, you should go over to my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. Okay, I mean, Chris Mortensen now follows us because of what we're saying, and he watches the show now. Jalen's been to the Super Bowl. That's not an individual record. Jimmy Garoppolo's been to a Super Bowl. Super Bowl appearances are not an individual achievement. They're team achievements. Okay? They're team achievements. Arthur says Lamar is worth 50 as well. I don't see any other NFL team offering deals for Lamar Jackson. Do you? I must have missed it. What teams around the NFL are going to the Ravens right now and saying, I'll make a deal for him? Are the Colts? They could use a quarterback. I'd rather take Lamar Jackson at 25 than one of those stiffs in the draft, except for Bryce Young. I think the rest of those guys are not very good. I'm sorry. When I look at the rest of those quarterbacks, I don't see anything that makes me go, wow, outside of Bryce Young. And by the way, so Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, and everyone are saying that Bryce Young is a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. Do you know, if you're Chicago right now, I question you on trading that pick to Carolina. No one has ever compared Justin Fields to Patrick Mahomes, and nor will they ever. Are you really, you're looking at Justin Fields and you think that guy one day will be compared to Patrick Mahomes? Not in your life. The Bears passed on a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. That's why they effed the draft up. Justin Fields is not better than Tyrod Taylor right now. Tyrod Taylor actually has a Pro Bowl behind him. So does Teddy Bridgewater. People go, stop with the potential talk. Potential means I've not done it. But I think he will. I'm not a fortune teller here. I only go by what you've done and where you are today. That's why people go, Sileo, you're flip-flop. No, the player production either went up. Hey, so did your opinion. Hey, watch this. How many people think that I flip-flop on my take? I'm going to throw it right back at you. How many people think I flip-flop on my take? On Jalen or anything? How many people do? How many people? You think I flip-flop on my takes? Did you not flip-flop on Carson Wentz? Did you not flip-flop on Carson Wentz? Anyone in Philly. They won't say it because they don't want to have to admit that. See, I do. Because the player production changes your opinion, doesn't it? That's not flip-flopping, friends. You're not a fortune teller. Sports talk radio is not AKA fortune teller. You're an observationist. Okay? Jameson. Jameson. It's okay, though. He was great. He was an MVP. And all of a sudden you went, wait a minute. This guy sucks. There's nothing wrong with that opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. So you change your opinion on him? Yeah. The guy's production and performance changed. That's not flip-flopping. That's a realist. That's a person that looks at what the game is and goes, man, I was wrong. I thought that guy was going to be a great ball player. Instead, he sucks. You flip-flop. 99% of the people in Philadelphia flip-flopped on Wentz. And you got the stones to tell me, well, you flip-flop. You flip-flopped on Wentz. You totally on Wentz, you did. Did you not? Hey, you flip-flopped on Hurts. You flip-flopped on Hurts. The second pick in the draft, what is that guy thinking? Wait a minute. I never said that. This guy's a really good ball player. What a lie. Hey, you don't have to lie here, friends. It's okay to go, hey, Dan, I was wrong, man. Holy shit, this guy's a good ball player. Okay, it's okay. I don't hold you to that. What I hold against people, especially the old fart sports guys, is that you have to continually keep hammering. Like, the Bayless take on LeBron James is the dumbest thing. And get this, it's a reason why that show covers LeBron. They cover the worst team in the West that's in the playoffs. Why? Because it's a crutch for him. The city flip-flopped on Wentz like they were the Russian Olympic team. He can't do a show without ripping LeBron. How do you rip a guy that's won 4 NBA titles and delivered 3 MVP performances on 3 different franchises? I can't do that. I hate his politics. He's not really my favorite player, but he is totally one of the top 3 players in the history of the sport. I see through that shit. I'm like, well, he's not my guy. I'd pick Kareem and Magic and Michael, and I'd go down that route. But he's right there too, man. Hey, people's opinions sometimes become very personal, like Yale just said. Becomes personal, your takes. I am so 100% sold that Jordan Davis is the guy. Don't be so 100% sold on anything until they produce. Maybe that's why, maybe that's why I have a different approach to people and how I do things, because I don't make it personal. Either the kid plays good or he doesn't. End of story. Get out. You're not good? Next guy up. I don't sit there and go, well, I put all my takes and I really thought he was really. Who cares? We're looking for a defensive tackle that has going to have an impact this year. Who cares what that name is? Okay, who cares what it is? That's why when Howie goes into free agency and does a magnificent job on trades or finds a free agent like Gardner Johnson or a trade like Gardner Johnson, those are strokes of genius. Bringing Slay over. Those are great moves. Then when I point out the draft, why are you ripping him? Because he sucks. And the rest of the media in Philly want to get. Tone, I got to come up with somebody else because I don't want to keep ripping Miles Murphy, man. I mean, like you said, man, this guy's going to come after me one day. Like you said, people personalize their takes. Nothing wrong with being wrong. Just admit it and move on, right? The guy's good. It's only sports talk. We're not talking nuclear codes. Oh, wait a minute. Nice job there. See what Tone just did? Slid in government secrets right here on the National Football Show. Okay. How about Merrill saying that he got too many question marks in Jalen Carter? Sills, what do you say to people that think you're a hack? Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time to write something like that on my show. I must have motivated people like you, Tanner, to take a time out of your day to come here and write that. I must be doing something right, don't you think? That's how I look at that. And that's how I answer that. You took time out of your day when you got up this morning. You had your milk. You had your cereal. You pet your dog. You went for a walk with your dog. And then somewhere in that morning, you went, I think I have to call Sileo a hack. Let me go to his show, click on, watch it for an hour and 15 minutes, and then say that. Sounds like a win to me. That's how I answer all that. Thank you. You think that would get me a rise? Dude, I've motivated you today. Think of that, Tanner. Okay? Oh, no, Tanner. No. You asked me what I thought when people say that. And when Tanner writes that. No, Tanner, no. I didn't say you said it. I'm saying that when people do that and come to my show and log on, it's not like the old days with radio. You just turned it on and there was Big Sills. Think of the steps you have to do. It's like sitting in a garage and sitting on an orange crate. You've got to get up and walk across the mall to log onto a computer, to click a link, then to go into the chat room, to join, and then say I'm a hack. That to me is winning. No, Tanner, I'm not, dude, no. Maybe I misread it, Tanner. I wasn't ripping you. And if I sounded like it, I apologize. No. Nasty goes, do not act like getting on YouTube is difficult. Sorry, Nasty, but I'm not as inclined or mechanically inclined as you are. Because, dude, getting on a website is a chore for me. Sorry. Hey, excuse me, Nasty. I didn't know that you were so technically savvy the way you are. Bro, you should see me logging onto my computer every morning. It's quite the chore. We love the roast Sills. But just know it's okay, Don Corleone. Okay, Don Corleone. Right? Yeah. Hey, we love the Rat Sills. It's all good. Dan is experiencing the 5 stages of anger. All right, let me get the hell out of here. Let me go over here to the 10 best players in the NFL. Swab Sills. No. GQ, that's not something I'd be throwing around. Swab Sills, I don't know. Hey, here. Hey. Okay. Please, guys. The no on Bijan Robinson is crazy. It's crazy. People would rather have the Philadelphia Eagles miss on the draft pick again than do the right thing. Here are the 10 best players in the draft. From the Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, had the first pick in the draft. Oh, and by the way, I'm getting Frank on draft week. So I got Jimmy Johnson, Frank Reich, and Kevin Colbert, Tom Telesco, Bruce Arians, Jason Light. That's all draft week. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Kind of why I'm saving everybody. Okay? Oh, and Brian Baldinger. All those guys are on draft week. Okay? There's only one place to go. Right here. Hey, radio, I don't need it anymore. Here are the 10 best players. I'm going to go from 10 up to 1. I get Paris Johnson, Jr., Ohio State. O-line. Could he help the Eagles? My God almighty. Put him at right guard. 6'5.5", 325 pounds, in between Elaine and Jason Kelsey. Kenneth Gainwell might get 1,500 yards. Dickerson on the other side of Kelsey and Mulata. Holy shit. What a line. Look what that line would be if you drafted Paris Johnson. And I'd be okay with Paris Johnson at 10. Honestly, I'd be okay with that. Because it helps Jalen. Any move that the Philadelphia Eagles make should all be circled around your quarterback. 6'8", Mulata. 6'5", Dickerson. Kelsey, I'm just going to go H-O. How about this? From now on, when I mention Kelsey, can I just do this? HOF? Can I just do that? Because it really doesn't matter what his size is, right? Why not just go HOF? So let's just go HOF. So 6'8", 6'5", HOF, 6'5", 6'5". Man, I don't know if you have a bigger O-line in the NFL than that thing right there with a Hall of Fame center in the middle. Dan, you would look good on radio. I did for 25 years. HOF, baby. 6'8", 6'5", HOF, 6'5", 6'5". That's the Eagle O-line if you draft Paris Johnson at number 10. He's the 10th best player in the draft. Here's the 9th, Christian Gonzalez, defensive back, Oregon cornerback. Should the Eagles take him? No. No, you spent $15 million on 2 corners. Absolutely not. It's going to be rich in corners next year. Don't worry about it. Go get a guy next year. Go get a guy next year. I don't need that pick. That pick doesn't help me win the Super Bowl this year. A corner does not help. A cornerback does not help you. You know what you hear people in Philly saying? Well, you got to start thinking about the aging Darius Slay. You should have thought about that in the offseason by moving his ass and then drafting a guy. You don't pay a guy $15 million. Think about how dumb that take is. So some people in Philly would say, well, Darius Slay's getting older. Okay. But you're paying him $15 million this year and you gave him 23 on a sign and you want to sign a corner. What? Which is it? Well, we're preparing for the future. The future is today. Winning the Super Bowl is right now. Not 2 years from now. Let Howie worry about that shit. Drafting a corner? Why? You're paying $30 million in corner money now. Remember the golden rule in the NFL. If you're paying them, you're playing them. So some would say, get a corner. I don't want any of these corners. Now, Porter's down at 30. In my opinion, I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't think Joey Porter is a good-looking corner in the NFL. I think he's a better-looking safety. I think he plays more like a safety. You move Gardner Johnson, I think this guy's more kind of that kind of guy. Okay? But I'm not going to take him at 10 to play safety. Okay? I mean, I don't think he's a corner. I don't think he's fast enough. The kid Gonzalez. I don't want to tell you who told me that either. Barrett said that he's too handsy. That means he stays engaged. So he's handsy and not fast. That's a safety. That's not a corner. Corner are great hands and great feet. Get off blocks. You don't have to be a guy that's a hitter at corner. Deion Sanders couldn't crack an egg, but you didn't throw to that side of the field because he had closing speed like a freak. His feet and hands were spectacular. Deion's clearly one of the greatest athletes I've ever been on a football field against. When he was at FSU and I was at UM, he was a freshman. And Vinny Testaverde, the year he won the Heisman, I think Vinny had 6 picks that year. 3 of them were with Deion in one game. Deion was like nothing you've ever seen on a football. He was something else, man. Best athlete I've ever seen. It's between Bo and Herschel. But Sanders is right there. Those 3 guys, man, Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker and Deion Sanders, man, just you had athletes and then everybody else. I mean, those guys were like, they could have did anything. They could have been in the Olympics. Oh, wait, they all were in the Olympics, I think, except for Deion. I think Herschel qualified for the 80 Olympic Games. And I think that Bo was on a relay team that could have went to the Olympics. These guys were like just old. Like there's nobody in sports today like those three guys. You know, DK Metcalf looks pretty kind of close to that kind of stuff. He looks kind of like there. Tyreek Hill, I think, could have played with those, but those guys couldn't play other sports. You know, Bo Jackson made the baseball all-star game and the Pro Bowl in the same year. Come on, man. At number 8, I got Devon Witherspoon, Illinois corner. Probably my favorite player in the draft. I like him a lot. Number 7. Man, it kills me to put him here, but C.J. Stroud, Ohio State quarterback. Okay. Everyone has sold me. Frank told me this. You got to watch him. I go, Frank. But they throw in do you know I had a debate with Frank Reich the other night? And he goes like this to me. What do you make of C.J. Stroud? And I said this to Frank. Man, I watch him in games. Those windows are wide open. Dude, anybody could complete those passes. Watch the windows that are in the SEC compared to those giant windows. And what I mean by windows, the spacing in the Big Ten versus the spacing in the Southeastern Conference is half the size. That's what makes Bryce Young a very contradicting pick and a very controversial pick if you're going to go there. He is the best quarterback in the draft, and it's not close to the other guys. Can I tell you what I see when I see the other quarterbacks going in the first 10 picks? You guys are going to be stunned when the quarterbacks that are going in the draft, that'll go in the top 10, I see Brandon Weeden, Josh Rosen. I see the kid that what's the kid that went to the Jets? Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. I see those dudes. Where do you see? I see Zach Wilson. Will Levis looks like Zach Wilson, but he's probably better because he played in the SEC. I don't see it. Like when you watch those guys, do you go like this? My God almighty. These guys are special. And the thing with Zach Wilson, one of the comments I made about Zach Wilson when the Jets grabbed him, this guy couldn't beat Utah, Coastal Carolina. He's going to go in there and beat the Patriots? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Matt Leinart, like Matt Leinart reminds me kind of Will Levis. He kind of reminds me of that. You know who C.J. Stroud reminds me of? Carnell Jones, Dwayne Haskins, those prototype guys like that. Then they get into pros, they shit the bed. I'm like, you know why? Because the windows are smaller. The reads have to be quicker. The intel has to be processed quicker. What quarterbacks play from the Big Ten now in the NFL today? Kirk Cousins. Nobody from Ohio State or Michigan. Nobody from Penn State. Justin Fields is the bell cow for the Big Ten. Justin Fields is the bell cow for the Big Ten, and Kirk Cousins. Well, Kirk Cousins, he went to Michigan State. Kirk Cousins went to Michigan State. Justin Fields. Who else from the Big Ten that's playing in today's NFL that starts? Fly. Today. In the NFL. Today. Who in the NFL from the Big Ten? Lamar played at Louisville. Brock Purdy, Iowa State. So you have Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, and Kirk Cousins as your bell cow guys? Well, I tell you. And the one guy was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last player taken. Not a pretty big collection of guys when you're looking for quarterbacks out of that conference. And you're expecting me to believe that C.J. Stroud. I had this conversation with Coach, and I told Frank Reich, I go, Frank, where do you see this? Iowa State's Big 12. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. You're right. I forgot. He's not Iowa. That's Big 12. So there's two dudes. That's right. You guys are dead right. There's two dudes. Okay? Kirk Cousins and Justin Fields are your bell cow quarterbacks in the NFL. But I'm going to draft C.J. Stroud because that's why Ohio State and what they do. There's no quarterback from Michigan. There's no quarterback from Ohio State. There's no quarterback from Penn State. By the way, Levis had to leave Penn State. He went to Kentucky. They threw him out. I mean, Russell Wilson, I guess the 1 year in Wisconsin. Okay. He played 4 years or 3 years at NC State. Sure. Okay. Alabama doesn't produce quarterbacks? Namath? Stabler. Didn't Starr go there too? Jalen Hurts. There's 3 starting quarterbacks from Alabama in the NFL right now. Oh, okay. There's 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL from Alabama. 3. From one program. Okay, today, there's 3 Alabama quarterbacks starting. 3. Okay, today, you want to go today? Today, 3. Joe Burrow, Ohio State fans, still trying to take credit for him. And you hate them all. I didn't say they were my favorite quarterback. I don't hate Jalen Hurts. All right, let me move on. Top 10 players. 10, Paris Johnson. 9, Christian Gonzalez, Oregon. Devon Witherspoon, Illinois. C.J. Stroud, 7. Peter Skoronski, 6, the offensive lineman. Something about that dude, man. He's got really short alligator arms. I mean, like, seriously, this guy walks around like this. I don't know. I mean, he's got arms like this. Like, if he fell down, first thing that would hit would be his face, not his hands. I don't think he's not built like those Eagle linemen. I like the kid Paris Johnson more than I do him, actually. Okay? Number 5, Bryce Young. Tell me again. If you're Chicago, did you really make the right move by trading the number 1 pick away and not trading Fields away? You should ask the Eagles what they think about not keeping Foles and trading Wentz away. You probably could have got a first rounder for Justin Fields. If he sucks this year, you couldn't get a 4th rounder for him. Yeah, but Sills, he gained 1,000 yards. Great. Great. If I'm looking to put a 4x100 team together, Justin Fields is my anchor. If I'm looking to build a quarterback and a football team around a starting quarterback in the NFL, he ain't it. Okay? He ain't it. Here are your 4 best players in the draft. But nobody in Philly wants these guys. They want Myles Murphy. Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech, edge rusher. He is the second best rusher, edge guy. Not the dude from Iowa who can't play the run and didn't start on his team. Number 3 is B.J. Robinson. How he's not drafting a running back. It's not what he does. That's irrelevant talk. You're not in a rebuild. You don't draft a running back if you're in a rebuild. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't take a running back in the top 3 picks. Do you know Bill Parcells? Most of the time he was in a rebuild. Do you know Bill never drafted a running back in the top 3 rounds in his entire time as an executive with the Dolphins or head coach with the Jets, Patriots, or Giants? Do you know he never drafted a running back in the top 3? And his teams were dominant running attacks. The Joe Morrises, the Dave Maggots, the O.J. Andersons, the Curtis Martins. Okay? Martin got hurt his senior year at Pitt. Fell in the draft, he drafted him. But most of the time, Bill was in a rebuild. Except when he got to New York. Remember something about New York. Bill Parcells didn't build that Giants team. Ray Perkins built that Giants team. Ray's the one that drafted Sims. Ray's the one that drafted Lawrence Taylor. Ray's the one that drafted Van Pelt. Ray's the one that put that old line and everything together. Took the bumps and bruises. He's the one that hired Belichick. Everyone is always under the notion, Parcells, he hired Bill Belichick. Look at the talent Ray Perkins hired Belichick. Bill was like the defensive coordinator or linebacker coach for Air Force. My family was so tied into the Giants. Robustelli told me all this. It wasn't Bill. Bill didn't draft Lawrence Taylor. He didn't hire Bill Belichick. Ray Perkins did. Then Perkins took the Alabama job because Bear Bryant died. It's the only reason he left New York. He left New York because Bear died. People change history, though, because one guy's on TV and the other guy's not. If Perkins had stayed in New York, he'd have won them Super Bowls. He was the guy that drafted Lawrence Taylor when everyone told him not to. They already had Gary Reasons, Harry Carson, Van Pelt. They already had really superstar linebackers. He went, no, I'm not passing on. See, here's a great example of a guy not listening to the bullshit that people have. Ray Perkins, they go, dude, you got Gary Reasons. You got Harry Carson. You got Brad Van Pelt. You really need Lawrence Taylor? He goes, that guy right there is game-changing. And everybody in the building, including George Young, said, I don't know, man. Ray went like this. That guy is different. Sure enough, he drafts him. And the rest is history. The rest is history. And everyone's like, oh, Bill, he's the guy that motivated. It wasn't him, man. You think Lawrence Taylor needs any of that shit? BJ's third. So wait a minute. Get this. A lot of folks in the Philly media on the radio are saying this now. Well, Bijan, I'm not giving up that type of asset and paying that guy at number 10. Even though he's the third best player in the draft. You'd rather have a guy at 10 who's the 17th best player in the draft? How does that help you? That's overdrafting. That's overdrafting. Most of the time when you're in the top end of the draft, every quarterback but Bryce Young is going to be overdrafted. And the quality guys that are in that top 10 are Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, and Bijan Robinson. Those are the 4 best players in the top 10. But the quarterbacks are going to throw that off because, get this, that talent pool, in my opinion, the quarterbacks, probably the 3rd best grouping of players in the draft. But they're going to, Will Levis, if you went fundamentally, if you had to have a pickup football team or you had to pick the best players, do you know where Levis would be drafted? 25? Do you know where Anthony Richardson will be drafted? 47? Instead, he's going to be taken 4th. They're going to take that guy 4th. And you're going to fall right onto Josh Rosen's sword. There's not a chance that guy's successful. And if it is, it's a dart being thrown in the dark that hits the bullseye. You land on that shit sometimes. Mississippi Valley State. How many players have come out of Mississippi Valley State that were Hall of Fame type players like Jerry Rice? How many great players have come out of Alcorn State outside of Steve McNair? How many people have come out of Texas A&I like Darryl Green? You land on them dudes. The dart in the dark hits the bullseye sometimes. Okay? Sometimes it hits. I just look at these quarterbacks and go, dude, I pray Anthony Richardson gets up there. Shit, I'm hoping this kid Hooker gets up there. Because that means those great players could slide down to 10. And then you could get a decent player at 10. For me, I want a decent player at 10. I'll trade 30. Get rid of 30. 30 is the less value pick. It's probably a starter, though, if you take him. But the 30 pick, that 10th pick has so much value to it, especially if quarterbacks start falling. I mean, think of how Aaron Rodgers fell all the way down into the 20s because everyone looked at Alex Smith. Name me one quarterback that Urban Meyer has ever produced that was a good quarterback in the NFL. Alex Smith, okay. I wouldn't call him a superstar. He's had one guy, Alex Smith. Alex Smith, and the rest of them, right? So he's talking about I saw Urban Meyer talking about quarterbacks. I'm like, what would you possibly know? You threw Joe Burrow out of Columbus. What would him and Ryan Day know anything about quarter? Why would you listen to them guys? Here, let's look at Lincoln Riley's record. Look at the quarterbacks that he has had under his, and from what I understand, I guess Howie respects him. Okay. So let me get this right. CeeDee Lamb, Lane didn't play for him, did he? I thought Lane played for the other guy, Bob Stoops. So let me think of the offensive players. Kyle Murray. He's getting paid. Baker Mayfield. Who else? Jalen Hurts. Okay. He helped Jalen. Jordan Addison was a Pitt guy. And the only reason he went to Southern Cal is because they promised him a shitload of money on nil. He was already established at Pitt. He won to Biletnikoff. I vote on the Biletnikoff. I'm on the board of directors of the Biletnikoff. And he won it at Pitt. He was already established. He wasn't established because of Southern Cal. He was established at Pittsburgh. Baker has, oh no. There's no doubt, man. You want to make money? You go play for Lincoln Riley. You want a long career in the NFL? You don't go to Lincoln Riley. Because most of them are bums. What's he won? Name me a defensive football player he's put in the NFL. Southern Cal will never be good with him. How can you respect a guy who doesn't build a full team? He didn't build a full team at OU. They were starting to get beat by Kansas. Where in the world is Lincoln Riley an elite coach? Who is telling people that? Oh, I know. That's because the Eagles were kind of kicking the tires on him being the head coach of the team. What has he won? There's no difference between him and Brian Kelly. I mean, who's the most elite player Lincoln Riley's ever put in the NFL? CeeDee Lamb? Who else? I can't think of one. Addison wasn't his guy. They had to pay him to come. Addison's a Southern Cal guy now. They paid him to go to USC. That's how they got him out of Pittsburgh. Joe Mixon played for Stoops. Stoops is the one that suspended him. Stoops suspended him for breaking that woman's jaw at Oklahoma. Not true. Okay? Not true. Okay? I mean, so how he leans on Lincoln Riley? Why? Look, this Caleb Williams kid that he recruited at OU. Guy can't beat Utah. Come on, son. I mean, name me a quarterback out of Southern Cal that has gone on to the NFL. Carson Palmer? Okay. Nobody goes to SC anymore. Don't you see that? Those kids in Los Angeles all go to the Southeastern Conference now. Exposure, better coaching, better teams. Pac-12 is looking at adding San Diego State. How is that going to help Oregon, Oregon State, and Cal, and those other ones now that they've lost UCLA and USC? They even got out of California. Think about that. Hey, Tone, think about it. USC and UCLA even left California. They even left. They're now playing Midwest teams. They don't even want to stay on the West Coast. Why? Because kids are all playing East. Nobody, I've tried telling you this about college football on the West Coast. It's awful. Players don't play there anymore. Outside of Southern Cal and Washington, I think 53, when UCLA won a national title back in the day, I think they've only had since like the 50s, one team won the national title on the West Coast. That wasn't Washington or USC. You've only had one team outside of USC, Washington. It's a joke. San Diego State, Marshall Faulk. Also, Donnell Pumphrey. Oh, you guys got a good look, an up-close and personal look at that dude. You talk about a guy needing a Tokyo phone book to look his coaches in the face. That guy was a little dude. I saw him at practice once. He come walking up to me. I go, who's this? He goes, that's Donnell Pumphrey. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Holy cow, this guy's a little dude. Yeah. D-Jax is from D-Jax is from LA, Yale. That's back when the Pac-12 was decent when he played in it. That's back when they were good. That's kind of like when they were decent. I think they stopped being good right after Pete Carroll left. Probably after Carroll left and maybe Chip left Oregon. Then that conference went to shit. It's totally terrible now. I would never, you could not convince me to go anywhere west. Maybe USC. But then I would look at their defense and go, they're 105. When I played at Miami, we were the top-ranked defense in the country every year I was there. I mean, Big Sills don't go places where I see the number 105. Hey, Tone, your defense is ranked 105th. Yeah, well, I don't believe I'm going there. I'd like to challenge myself a little bit. 105. Will Anderson's the best player in the draft. Sills Cody Kessler, underrated quarterback from Southern Cal. Who? Who's Cody Kessler? Does he play for the Phillies? Yeah. Hey, Sills, Oregon State wants you to Or isn't your nickname the Beavers? So, like, I have one question. What do you guys do when you have the rivalry between the Beavers and the Trojans? Just asking. Hour number 3. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the